We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such. I know y'all tired of it, but we got a new season of The Pass. Welcome to season 8, the Mamba Year. Podcast available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of your podcast platforms. Here you'll get a dose of content related to tech, the productivity world, and most importantly, how to be a better you. The theme for this year, personally, is receiving grace. And we definitely want to do better with receiving it and being open to being a better us from who we were a year ago. So this is season 8 of The Pass, and I hope you all enjoy.
So time is here. I will warn you there will probably be there's gonna be a more high definition walkcast due to the fact of going a bit of a abnormal route, but I needed it this morning. And I have a topic. Still haven't uploaded yesterday, so congrats to you all. You'll be getting a 2 for 1 probably on Thursday. It won't be today. And I'm saying Thursday, but inadvertently my Thursday has been planned for me somehow. So sorry, but not sorry. Um, age old conversation. You need to log ideas, get thoughts down. How are we doing it? And I've talked about this a little bit before with Cortex, with Notion, with Apple Notes, with whatever you're using as a digital source, and even the infamous catch all source. And yesterday I packed this up a little bit too with the infamous, not just the term or the phrase of a second brain, but also like the physical aspect of second brain, but also the digital. And the digital has really been a spark of the town for a while. So outside of those details and those topics, there's a more in-depth discussion of which is better, old school or new school. And I'm not here to give you the answer. I'm here to guide you with finding your answer or finding your home or your style. Because the truth of the matter is, whether we want to or not, you got to write stuff down. Now, to my physical, I'm with y'all. I'm old school. A lot of my friends still get surprised that I have been keeping a journal readily available for quite some time. Ironically, I have a physical journal that I've been very excited to write in, and I still write in it from time to time, but that changed, and I'll get into that from the digital aspect. But that's one source or example of the handwritten or the pen and paper style. Now, a lot of people are not very confident or comfortable in their writing. Many people have joked, I'm not even gonna say joked with me. Many people have talked with me about how I have very um, girly handwriting. And It's it's a mixture between it being girly, it's a mixture between it being legible. It's a different plethora of views when it comes to handwritten style. The one ability, and this is gonna sound really left, but really truthful. The one ability I would never want to lose is the ability to write. Typing, I care less. Not gonna lie to you. I can stop typing tomorrow and I'll be like, okay. Now, granted, yes, I'm working in tech, but from a true blue and a direct discussion, I would I will take the writing resource 10 out of 10. You get a very wide variety of sources to write in, such as notebooks, sheets of paper, pocket notebooks. There are so many endless notebook spaces and areas to jot down ideas. I don't remember who I was having this conversation with, but it's an honest statement that has to be addressed. And that is to stop running out and buying new notebooks. And for a lot of people, that's a hard slash tall ask due to the simple fact that they're easily available. Rightfully so. They are in hands on like immediate accessibility. So I don't really I don't give a lot of flack in that category whatsoever. But find your space or your area to truly write down how you feel if you're going to handwritten slash pen and paper writing. Also, and this doesn't get talked about a lot either, but if you have that resource and can do so, find a pencil. Have pencil available because like anything in life, anything and everything is bound to happen. It is a proven, logical, truthful fact. There's no two stepping around it. There's no dancing in the street about it. Um, you want to find that place that you call sanity or peace in your daily writing. And like I said, the I'll add this too. A lot of people aren't fans of the physical written form because they don't like how their handwriting looks. They may not be comfortable with writing because you can get hand cramps if you're writing too long, different things of that sort. Good morning. How y'all doing? Um, there's a layered unpack with that avenue of resource. So that's my tangent. Oh, that's the laugh. That's my tangent or my talk involving handwritten notes. Now I'm gonna be integrating these when I start talking about digital because I've probably been told more than anyone about finding that lane or that thing with the digital aspect. I have one friend, love her dearly, was happy to hear that she was safe. Hopefully she hears this podcast. And I have two friends in the same type of area that have experienced who are both big on writing. One is big digital, one is kind of hybrid. And to say what I was saying, I'm hybrid. For those who've heard the term, and I'm not just trying to undermine anyone's knowledge. That's not how this works at all. But um, the hybrid lane is you use physical, but you also use digital. And dare I say, I'm hybrid, but it's very like 51, 49, 60, 40, 39, 61. Hope I got that math right. It's very teetering the numerical comparison in the two. Because some days I'm literally, as I like to call it, off the grid. And I don't want to use um, actual technology. I'd rather just write things out. But from the digital aspect, digital has so many quote unquote catch all spaces. There's catch 22s to a lot of those catch all spaces. And the constant of those catch alls, of those catch 22s, is whether you can do this in more than one space. And I'm going to explain this very meticulous in different applications that I personally use, and it'll all come together. So for quite some time, I've used Things 3. Love Things 3. To this day, I still think Things 3 might be one of the best applications when it comes to task management. There's one problem. Actually, two. One, it's an iOS/Apple specific application. So, as much as people think the whole Android iPhone thing becomes this, it's like demoralizing conversation. The truth is, there's one reckless trade-off that you don't get with certain things, and that is the ecosystem. You are, for lack of a better term, you're bound to the ecosystem um, when it comes to Things 3. Now that's just now keeping it a stack. That's just one application. I haven't even gotten into other apps that you're gonna run into the same problem with. One of them, which I frequently use, is Apple Notes. Love Apple Notes. I think Apple Notes is a very useful tool, very enjoyable application. But Apple Notes is Apple friendly. You don't have a web, like you have a web way to get to it, but it's way too long. And that's the other part, convenience. Pen and paper, convenient. Found a notebook, found a pen, write it down. The end. So incoming noise might happen. So if I seem like I'm yelling, if you know, you know. Uh, but it can be very, very challenging on your path to writing. The Things 3 is, like I said, that's a task list example. But I just mentioned the other example, which is Apple Notes. Love Apple Notes. Apple Notes is probably very garnered and very catered to, hey, I got a quick thought. Let me get this thought down on an app. They've even given you customizable options to load notes or write quick notes through just about every iOS device. I don't know about the Apple Watch, haven't tried it, but I will say from a phone perspective, you have the quick notes option. From the tablet perspective and the Mac perspective, if you drag from the bottom right and bottom right corner, slide up, and voila, you have a quick note. Some challenges there. It's just like real time notes. So whatever you last wrote in it may still be visible to be seen. Understandably so. It, you know, it's quote unquote doing its job. So we get it. Um, but like I said, they have a site, aka iCloud.com, but the steps to get to it very tedious. So now you're put in the position of buying a universal note app. Most people use Notion. Notion has some caveats to it as well, because whether anybody's gonna openly address it or not, Notion does not do well with the. It's not gonna be fully accessible with every device or with every corporate's firewall, because it could be looked at as harmful or a threat to a company. Doesn't want to lose their internet service due to a program. Good morning. But Notion has also some good perks and benefits, which you can access it from just about any device. As long as you have the app and the login, you're good. Plus, their two-factor authentication, I think, gets it much better than anybody else. As long as the other person, I mean, as long as no one else is able to utilize how they verify it. I'm not going to give that information because those who have Notion know what I'm talking about. I don't want to make anything obvious. So there's that factor. When people talk about the trendy one, as I like to phrase it, um, Obsidian. People love Obsidian. Obsidian has been such a high profile, high enjoyment of an application. And no one would be wrong to feel how they feel regarding the application. It also, which I think I personally, it was kind of why I rocked with it, but then got rid of it so fast. Learning curve. Pen and paper, there's no learning curve. You pick it up, you use it, you're good. Obsidian, I don't know it well enough, and I didn't feel comfortable enough in utilizing it. Then there's Old Faithful, and there's a couple of Old Faithfuls. One, which I had a very long withstanding relationship with, known as Evernote. You could not, I don't care who you were or how you said it, you could not get me to get rid of Evernote ever. Like, Evernote did everything I did. I needed tenfold, and I was fleeced. So Evernote and I became really close. And then Evernote went into what we like to call paywall mode of, you could use our product, but you are only limited to 2 devices. I was a bit needy, and my neediness meant that I needed it on my tablet, my phone, and oddly enough, one of their applications, they counted the web as an application. So you're stuck. You're literally stuck. And they will push the whole like, if you want to use our product, you can get our subscription and get a monthly fee, which again, no big issue with the fee part per se, but there's an issue if I'm having to do this and I don't, it's on the basis of if I'm using this frequently enough to benefit from doing so. Like Things 3, flat rate, developer gets paid, everybody wins. So I didn't really trip too much on what Things 3 was doing. But I also was not as attached to the Things 3 wave as others would have expected because of that. And as you've heard on the podcast before, I got attached to Todoist. Todoist, I can literally, I think the tab is still open on my computer. I have a web-based version of Todoist. They also have a desktop application, which is to die for, and it's widget friendly, stuff like that. Even Toggle. But all these applications are going to come down to trade-offs, meaning, can I open this application within my non-ecosystem accessories? So, like you've heard, like I said, I've talked about it on the show a few times. Cortex. Cortex probably popped up at the right time when I least expected it because it's it's genuinely a one-stop shop for ideas, thoughts, things of that nature. But a lot of people who are in the forums and in the community are emphatic about something that I 100% agree with, which is just because it's a space to share notes does not mean you should make it a space to share every single note that you need to address or think about. Because then you end up having a note, um, you end up with a cemetery of notes. And I don't say that being morbid, I say that being truthful, because if you go back and look at your notes on any application and think back to how many notes you've taken, how much of that information did you really need? And how much of it are you still using today? And the answer is probably going to be less than 10%. Prove me wrong, the past btpod at gmail.com. Let's talk about it and let's have a discussion. And no, I'm not using your phrase. I'm just using it as a general statement. Um, but those are a few digital apps that can be accessible in different places. Cortex is still in beta mode. Still in like a developer mode for people to test out, get feedback, point out anything that they like, dislike, etc. One app that I forgot to mention is Springboard. Well, it used to be Springboard, and then they turned it into Google Keep. And Google Keep and I have a very interesting relationship because Google Keep is Android friendly, obviously, because it's a Google application. It's accessible everywhere. From my understanding, and I may have to check after this walk, there's no actual widget. Like certain apps having a widget or having a shortcut makes the app resourceful. So for instance, if I want to do a quick journal entry, if I pull out my phone And it's a screen, it's an option there to do screen record. Perfect. I can record, I can go, we're good. Not every app or not every resource provides that type of ability. And for a lot of people, that can be a deterrent from using said program or said application. And so I'm very back and forth about it. But I will put a lot of things in Google Keep because I know it's there. I keep one thing there that I don't like keeping there, but it's been helpful to use for that purpose. I'm not gonna say what it is because no need. Uh, and it also helps with not putting that specific thing in other places. So then comes the big question. How do you take all of these things that you just wrote down and all these different applications and put them in one space? There are two resources that can either be your best friend or your worst nightmare if it's used properly for everything that I just mentioned. And that's export and import. Many people who will say they're not tech savvy, many people will say, oh, I'm not computer literate. I'm gonna tell you now, you can be as illiterate as you claim to be, or whatever. One thing is clear: learning and getting comfortable with import and export will be very vital to finding a home in planning or note taking, because you want it way so that information can get pulled into one source or it can go to another source or whatever the case may be. And then what I feel like doing with it today. Um, and it's important. It's very important. And I'm saying it's important now and in the long run, only because you are going to run into those phases and those states where you wrote something down. But it's almost like trying to find your keys. And anyone who knows what I mean in saying that knows exactly what I'm talking about. Because let's face it, the worst thing to do is to be trying to get prepared to go out, to start your day, to do whatever. And you're spending X amount of minutes trying to find stuff. And it's more time added to look for it. So going back to the notes reference, and this applies to both physical and digital. I don't want y'all to think that I ignored physical in that whole tangent, but I wanted to really give physical its call and its talk because I know a lot of people use different digital applications, but you don't want to use too many to the point where you don't know where anything is. Uh, I've shared this with many of my friends, talked about this numerous times. One space to save multiple things will help you out so tremendously. There's one guy on YouTube who shares videos talking about this, and I am 100% on board with it. As much as you might not think it's a big deal, use the app drawer. If you have to have stuff on your homepage, fine, great, do what you do. But a lot of things that you're truly and honestly trying to access, you can access them anywhere. And you don't need to quote unquote break the bank doing so. But we naturally go to, oh, I need this, I need this. I want to put this here. I'm putting different applications online, but I'm also overwhelming my brain with the different things that I have out there. You should not have, as bad as it sounds, you should not have the same note 5 times in 5 different places. Just not a good idea. Not a good look. Not of any benefit. Not minimalist by a long shot. The funny thing is, and I'm gonna talk about this really briefly because I don't have a dog in this fight and I don't really care enough to chop it up about it, but I'll talk about it anyway. The whole very mindful, very demure trend is such an oversaturated way of just referring to being a minimalist. And I hate to like cut the corner short with saying it that way, but it's very noticeable. It's very obvious and it's right there in front of you, so it's hard not to acknowledge it. But you can definitely be a wear and tearish type of thing. Cold, but it's also warm. My body's having like a moment. But returning to the physical and digital, I'm not here again to tell you which one to use. I'm not here to tell you which one is better nor worse. I know I shared quite a bit of information related to both. Um, I didn't talk about a lot of them, but I'm going to circle back to notes for a moment, or handwritten notes for a minute, and kind of wrap up some things because this will be key in your process with handwritten, physical, digital, whatever. Um, some of my favorite notebooks are, I have three. It's kind of like a three-headed monster in a sense. Moleskin, you can't go wrong. Um, Electrum, you 100% cannot go wrong. Electrum has so many different variations of notebooks, it's insane. Um, and then there's um, Field Notes. Those three are like good starting points of quick note taking. Field Notes is more pocket friendly. Um, Moleskin, you have like a wide variety. You can get like your traditional journals and planners. You can get dotted grid notebooks. Pick your poison with those. Leuchtturm, of course, as an advocate of the bullet journal, I live and breathe by Leuchtturm, so they are like my baby without being my baby. Uh, you have, if you're, if you're in a pinch, forget the brand, but Walmart has different variants of notebooks. Pen and paper, pen and paper brand has been out for a while. I forget what their other brand is, but they usually will have like notebooks. I mean, they'll have like the books that are similar to bullet journal books. They have pocket notebooks that are literally equivalent to Moleskin, different build, but practically the same one of one. Uh, Walmart and Target has like your inexpensive books like that. Now, if you really want to be in the simple lane and not have to do a whole lot, CVS and Walgreens, if you can find good deals on them, the spiral, like one single, what is it? I want to say chapter. So it's a term they use. There's like you have pretty much like it's a basic notebook. Heck, I'll even go a step further, and this is gonna really mess y'all heads up. Composition notebooks. Composition notebooks will never go away. It does not matter. Subject, that's what I meant to say. One subject notebook or five subject notebooks is what I meant earlier. But composition notebooks will not go anywhere. I tested this out a few years ago, or probably I say a few years, but it was honestly like a year or two ago, if that. So it's still a few technically, but there was a notebook that you could get from Dollar General. It was like $1. It was less than $2, and it was like three of these little small notebooks, and it was a good way to start writing down thoughts and ideas. I used it for a while. They're very. It's kind of the age-old phrase of "you get what you pay for," which is totally understandable. But I noticed more than anything, just using them can be very challenging, just based on like writing out or having it function for what you need it for. And in the long run, I don't have any ill will about the notebooks, but you can get like I now usually whenever I recommend to people, I tell them all the time, I say, go to Walmart, look for Pen and Gear, and there are these three little notebooks, black, red, and green. I'm sorry, black, red, and blue. And they are the most convenient little notebooks to have when you need to get a thought down. So those are my notebook options. As I mentioned in the middle or probably a couple minutes back, for my digital folks, find your tool. Obsidian, a lot of people use Obsidian. Notion is like very template friendly. Um, you can get very lost in the sauce with Notion, so keep that in mind. If you want to use your own, like if you want to make your own writing thing, you can do that on there, and it's no big deal. Um, like I've shared before, Cortex, after listening to Tiago, and I literally talked about this at this exact time in this exact space. But Tiago Forte, now I understand why Dan Code uses Capture on the Cortex app because it's one of the core ingredients or key ingredients of the code method that Tiago Forte talks about in building a second brain. Because everything now is about building a second brain, whether you think it is or not. And a lot of the note taking information is that's what I'm sharing with these audio bits is you want to have a place to get thoughts out. And most importantly, I'm gonna share this and then I'm gone. Brain dumping. I don't care which one you use. I don't care if you do it digitally. I don't care if you do it physically. Heck, if you have the ability to use it, Good Notes or Notability, find which one works for you. I think Good Notes is free. Notability, I think there's you pay a one-time app fee. I don't recall right offhand, but Notability or like I said, either one. Heck, you can even use Apple Notes for all I care. But use an app and start dumping out thoughts. If you're needing to do this in keyboard or typing form, break out a keyboard and write it out. If you need to write it like you're traditionally writing, but using it on a digital aspect, invest in an Apple Pencil. I know this just got announced yesterday or just kind of secretly unveiled, but the iPad Mini 7 is out now. So you have that resource as an option for um, you for posting and sharing and using things. I will share this now because I want to share this. So I'm personally thankful that I got my iPad when I did. And the reason I say that is because I want to say there might have been one other model that came out after mine that uses the Apple Pencil that I have. And why this is relevant is because three new iPads were presented earlier in the year, totally fine. The iPad Pro, the big boy, I think it's the 13-inch and the 11-inch. And then they brought out the iPad Air. All of them have like a newer chip. All of them, which is my personal gripe, they all use the Apple Pencil Pro. Apple Pencil Pro has great features. I don't take that for granted whatsoever. But I've had my Apple Pencil for almost 3 years, and I will take the traditional Apple Pencil over those any day. And the one reason I like it is because of the magnetic charging. Like that was like the earlier models of the Apple Pencil were kind of unattractive because they lacked that feature. Now, I also want to share this. I know I said I was like, I'm going to go, but I want to share this too. If the if that entire like Apple Pencil craze or ecosystem is just not your jam and you just ain't rocking with it, I 100% understand and I 100% respect that. That being said, there is an accessory that you can buy that will do what the Apple Pencil does, but takes away a few features, but is at a much more cost-friendly model, and that is the Logitech Crayon. The Logitech Crayon, now let me be clear, there are two different models. There's the orange one, and then there's the gray one. The orange one is going to be for some of the older iPads, but still have the newer capabilities to them. And the gray one is the one that I purchased. The gray one, you pretty much, it's literally you turn it on and as soon as you turn it on, you turn off blue. It's one small thing you have to do with it, which is probably my gripe about it, but it's not the end of the world. And that is you have to turn off Bluetooth to use it. Um, and it will basically allow the crayon to work because it's not Bluetooth based. It's literally as soon as you turn it on, you can write with it, do everything you would normally do. Like if you need to just do writing based thing. It doesn't have pressure. It's not pressure sensitive. So like if you are drawing whatever size you draw for with colors or whatever, it's going to draw that regular size. It's not going to make anything larger or smaller. You'd have to manually change it. It's trade-offs in that regard, but it's at least something without having to break the bank. Because I believe the Apple Pencil Pro is 130 and the regular Apple Pencil is 100. Um, and I shared this with someone yesterday, and I'm sharing this with you all. Because there's new iPads that have just come out, the older models are going to be on sale. They're going to want to get the older models out of their warehouses and stocks. So between Target, Walmart, Amazon, even Apple, um, Office Max, I think sells them. I'm not sure. Staples, different companies that sell iPads. Look for those deals. Like my friend, we were chopping it up about it yesterday, and I said, if you can find one, get the Apple Pencil, the regular Apple Pencil. You don't need the Pro, and get the iPad Mini 6 model because the one that just came out is the 7. And like I said, I think the 7 looks nice, but even when I saw like the spec breakdown, I was like, they look exactly the same, but someone's gonna buy it. So that's what I got. No, sorry.
Truly hope you all enjoyed the show. Definitely was a lot to unpack, but I know you'll walk away with something important. As I share at the end of each season, do find your way to get into podcasting if it's something you would like to do. My podcasts are currently recorded via Buzzsprout. Been very good to me. If you want to learn more about using them, definitely hit me up at thepastbtpod@gmail.com. And also the microphone that you're hearing me on is the Blue Yeti X. Have been rolling with it for over 3 years. We've been doing this ride for quite some time, so I hope someone could find this mic useful. Again, find those people who are good or helpful in what you're trying to do to be better today than you were yesterday. The primary goal is to be 1% better. Hope you all have an amazing day, and we'll be back again to do this next time.